Ugh, real talk, sometimes the easiest choice is the hardest to accept. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Kira Wackett. Thanks for joining me for another video as we work to empower and equip you with the confidence and skills to write your own story so that you can live your life on purpose. Today we're talking about the necessary and challenging task of letting go of the belief that you have to be everything for everyone else at all costs. I've been working hard to let go of my shame story, telling me that I have to take care of everyone else to be worthy of love and connection. It's led me to put myself last for decades and created a buildup of resentment, loneliness, and anxiety. I've done the smart thing, or the most convenient thing, or the expected thing, or the helpful thing for others, and often at the expense of my passion or want, and have had to learn to anchor my compass internally rather than from a place of external approval or validation. One decision I'm still working through was in 2021, when I decided to leave my formal therapy practice to focus my time and energy on growing Adversity Rising and being with my family, an incredibly exciting and yet overwhelming choice. I worked hard to clarify what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. In that, I realized I couldn't do it all. Newsflash, no one can, unless I wanted to burn out and constantly feel unfulfilled. And unfortunately, therapy in the more traditional sense was doing just that. Burning me out and not giving me the space to create the biggest impact I wanted and knew I could have. I had to be honest with myself about what was best for me and my family and answer the question, what do I want? Rather than, what should I do? The hard part? When the answers to these questions are in complete opposition, making you want to retreat quicker than when a cat sees a cucumber, which, if you haven't seen, be sure to click the link in the show notes. Just because you need to see it, it's hilarious, and give yourself a little reprieve from these hard topics. Even though I know this narrative doesn't serve me, insight is much different than action. Meaning it's easier to complain or be resentful about your reality than translate the knowing to any actual change. That's too much, and shame will work desperately to keep you in its clutches the instant that you consider doing something different. As soon as I named my want, shame took off like a banshee and projected judgment and rejection everywhere I turned. So you got this degree. What? Not to do the work? So you're coaching. What does that even mean? This is about the money, isn't it? Was therapy just too hard? The problem might not be the type of work you're doing, but just you. Are you taking the easy way out? By the end, I began to feel helpless and hopeless. I started to assume things wouldn't work out. I introduced doubt wherever possible, projecting judgment and resentment, berating myself for the path I've taken to get to this point, and comparing myself to others and their perceived success. All of which eventually led to the idea, I guess I could just keep doing therapy. I mean, I know I can be fine while doing it. I don't want people to think I'm a sellout or judge me for my work. So, let's just keep doing it. It's not that bad, right? No. The answer is no. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And just because things are taught or designed to look a certain way doesn't mean that we can't expand. I'm not selling out by making a shift in how I help people. I'm working to develop systems to help people without losing myself. And the zone in which I'm most effective isn't necessarily in the therapy room. But going from knowing to believing that answer had to be no took a lot more work. Trudging through the depths of shame to get to a place of understanding took time. But in that process, here's what I learned. 1, it is okay for your wants and goals to change. I wouldn't have come to this realization about how I wanted to help people if I didn't start in the therapy room. This decision is a product of exploration and qualitative research and analysis. 2, money is allowed to be a part of the conversation. Yes, some of the reasons behind my decision were the money. That doesn't mean I'm not invested in my clients. It's about knowing my value and creating systems in which I can continue to deliver at that level and beyond. 3, I'm not selling out by not being in the therapy room. Yeah, this looks different, and there are lots of tension points between coaches and therapists, but the reality is, I know what I'm doing and the benefit that I add for the people that I work with. That doesn't change because it's packaged or titled differently. 4, yes, therapy was too hard. Not because of the clients, but because of the bureaucracy and the fact that insurance companies and honestly most of the world don't value therapists. There's a reason that we pay therapists, teachers, and other service professionals abysmally because we don't see the work as necessary enough to cough up funds to support it. I don't like that my route means that clients can't use insurance benefits, but I know that the amount of hours I spent doing everything required to work with insurance and the voice we didn't get as the professionals was too high not to choose this route. As such, I'd rather find ways to create free and low-cost resources to share with the world while charging the rate for my more involved services that matches the value of what I have to offer. 5, I'm not responsible for everyone else. Some of my clients were devastated when they found out I was leaving. And guess what? They're okay. Because the goal of therapy and any other helping role isn't to be the person they need or depend on to be okay, but to help them see that they can develop skills and tools to depend on themselves. Losing me was sad, but not indicative of their future progress. And with that, number 6, it's often our joy that comes at someone else's pain. It's important to acknowledge that pain and accept that I can't absorb that as my responsibility to fix. This isn't about hurting others. It's about taking care of myself. 7, helplessness and hopelessness are learned behavior and thought patterns that fuel our shame. In truth, I have very little control over most of the things I experience in my life, but I do have control over making the right choices for me. In this, I have to untether myself from the fear of disappointing others and remind myself that disappointment is merely a misalignment of goals, values, wants, and pursuits. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person or at fault. It simply means the story I'm living and the role someone else wanted me to play in their story might be different. I've spent most of my life believing my purpose was to be what everybody else wanted and needed me to be, which I assume resonates with almost all of you. And sure, in some cases, it feels good. Who doesn't want to be needed? But in this, we lose sight of ourselves. We stop factoring ourselves in. We start by sitting last at the table, and over time, we remove our place setting, chair, and food. The only end point in that life is burnout, anger, resentment, loneliness, and isolation. We have to make ourselves a factor. We have to make sure there's always a chair for us at the table. And honestly, we have to start serving ourselves first, even if just every once in a while. Now, as I sit here, a year and a half in, I can honestly tell you that this was the best choice I ever could have made. I'm so much more effective and impactful in what I do because I'm choosing how I engage in my work in a way that serves me and aligns with my why. From my programs and book clubs to the worksheets and videos and coming soon, my podcast, my focus is on equipping people with the insight and tools to address pain and stuckness on a deeper level and equip themselves with the confidence and skills to combat shame in their daily lives. So as we wrap for today, let us know in the comments. How has your shame kept you stuck making choices that take care of everyone else or keep you stuck in a state of fine? What would you do? Or how would you be? What would change if you could let go of this? How could life be different, more fulfilling? Be sure to check out the show notes for links to some other resources on breaking out of your shame and learning to create a life that aligns with who you are and how you want to show up in the world. If you haven't yet, be sure to click the link in the show notes and become an AR Insider to get an email delivered into your inbox every 2 weeks with exclusive content and discounts that I don't share anywhere else. If you like what you're hearing, give me a thumbs up and share this video with someone else who needs to hear it. And of course, hit that subscribe button and get an alert whenever new awesomeness is released. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Remember, you have the right to author your own story instead of constantly writing yourself into everyone else's. So let's go get that pen back.